Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. I got another Master Duel video for you. So today I wanted to do something slightly different. I usually do talk about upcoming cards as they're announced officially. But today, I wanted to take some time and talk about some cards that are in Infinite Forbidden, and a few that are in the next set, which is, what was it again? Rage of the Abyss, I think? Yeah, Rage of the Abyss. That are potentially / maybe likely to come out in Master Duel soon, that I'm particularly excited for. Now, I just want to note that at the time that I'm recording this, which is on January 28th, none of these have been officially announced. And I'm not saying that these cards are going to come out. I don't have any information in that regard. I'm not making that claim. But what we are going to do is we're going to take a look at the Infinite Forbidden, which is a pack that coincides with a lot of the more recent releases in Master Duel, and again, see some follow-up support and new cards, new archetypes, or at least one new archetype that I'm personally pretty excited for. So, again, I just have to clarify, this is not me saying that these are for sure coming out. I'm just saying these are probably going to come out soon, and I'm excited for them. I want to talk about these cards. So, the Infinite Forbidden, as far as cards that are already in Master Duel, the White Forest archetype was introduced in this set. A lot of the random cards that we've seen lately, like DPH Jindamore, the Gimmick Puppet was also another archetype that came out in this set. Yeah, these like light end and dark end cards are from this pack. So the Fault Madolce support, a lot of stuff that we have seen recently. So it's pretty reasonable to expect that we can see some of these cards that we're going to be talking about here. The first of which is going to be there we go. Wait. There we go. The Fiend Smith archetype. So I know I've heard people say, I've heard rumors that this might be coming to Master Duel soon. Again, I'm not confirming or denying any of those. I have no knowledge in that regard. But the Fiend Smith archetype is one that I'm quite looking forward to. I know not everybody is, mostly because this archetype can be played in just about anything. That's kind of why I'm excited for it, though. So the idea behind Fiend Smith is that it's a light fiend deck that revolves around fusing and equipping, but it also has a line of play where without using your normal summon, it'll get you 2 bodies on board. These bodies can be used to go into potentially link summons if you want. You can overlay into a Beatrice is the big one, and of course a lot of people have been talking about how Beatrice hasn't been banned lately. So if Fiend Smith is about to come out, then we are looking at a format where it is legal alongside the Beatrice. Basically, now just about any deck can, for a, I think, 1.5 card combo, without using your normal summon, set up the Beatrice to foolish any card in your deck. Notable decks that can use and abuse this are Snake Eye, of course. They can dump the Snake Eye Ash and then go into Prom Princess, and from there revive the Snake Eye Ash to go into a full combo line. Ubel, of course, this archetype is already consisted of fiends, so this slots in quite nicely in Ubel decks, which also just wants to build bodies on the board. Again, if you want bodies on the board or cards from your deck to be in the graveyard, which that pretty much encapsulates 95% of the decks in Yu-Gi-Oh!, then you are looking at potentially adding a Fiend Smith engine to your deck. Even after the engine has been hit in OCG and TCG play, it does still, of course, see quite a bit of play. Now, I think of the cards in this archetype to be pre-hit, Engraver, the card we're seeing on screen here, is probably the most likely one. I imagine a lot of you are already really familiar with what the Fiend Smith cards do. I'll go into more detail about how that combo line works and what all of the cards do and which ones you play and which ones you don't when the archetype comes out. But I guess a brief overview of the ones that you do see, of course, add the Fabled Lurie to this, even though it's only an honorary Fiend Smith card, is Engraver. Again, I think of the cards from this archetype, this one's probably the most likely to get pre-hit. But with Master Duel, it'll probably only go to 2 at release. We'll have to see. I think the only time they've ever limited a card at release was like Adventure. No, Adventure stuff was semi-limited, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. I don't know. Anyway, Lacrima is definitely a pretty big part of this archetype. This is the level 6 fusion you go into. That plus Engraver is going to be your Beatrice. Requiem, the overpowered Link 1 monster, another reason why this archetype is so good. Sequence is a pretty good Link 2 monster that you do actually use, I think, in some variants, but not all, or maybe all. I actually don't know off the top of my head, but I know you definitely use it for Snake Eye plays. And then Tracked is what Engraver searches and gets your plays going. Actually, from what I understand, it doesn't even really matter which of these you open, if it's Fiend Smith's Tracked, Fiend Smith Engraver, or even Fabled Lurie, because even Fabled Lurie can still be normal summoned and then gone into the Fiend Smith's Requiem, which you can then tribute this to Special Engraver, and then, you know, so on and so forth. Engraver then adds the spell trap, right? Oh no, you have to discard it. I see, but then you link this off, potentially, and then you could revive it. I'm sure there's plays you can go into, but in any case, I think the main thing, like I said before, I'm excited about with the Fiend Smith cards is the fact that they do make every deck better. Now, of course, a lot of people, you know, kind of complain that, well, this just makes the best decks still the best decks. And generally speaking, yeah, I do think that's true. But there are quite a few decks out there who can really have their plays opened up by the Fiend Smith engine. Orcust, which I've been playing quite a bit on the channel lately, is a pretty good example of that. Although Orcust are also going to get their own follow-up support in the relatively near future as well. But yeah, no, I think that Fiend Smith will bolster a lot of decks. I think another reason people kind of don't like that though is that they don't want to see like the same cards in every single deck, right? The same engines, so on and so forth. And I understand that like these decks feel like they lose a little bit of their identity when they're all playing Fiend Smith, and I can understand why that would be frustrating. It's just not a frustration I share. I don't know, I just don't know how else to say it, that it doesn't really bother me personally. But I that's not to invalidate people who don't like Fiend Smith for that reason. I definitely think that is completely valid for sure. Okay, so another archetype that I wanted to talk about is one that I enjoy quite a bit, that's getting some follow-up support, is Centurion. So this is one of two archetypes that we're actually going to be talking about that get follow-up support. Unlike the other, this one is already a really good deck in Master Duel, right? We talked about Fiend Smith making decks like Snake Eye and Yuba, which are already good, even better. Centurion doesn't really benefit from Fiend Smith as far as I know, but getting its own direct support for a deck that's already like tier 2 is going to be pretty good. So these ones I'm going to go into in a little bit more detail, just because, again, Fiend Smith is already definitely going to get its own whole video whenever that's confirmed to be coming out, at whatever time that may end up being. But these cards I'll probably mostly end up covering later, only when they actually come out in their respective deck profiles. So Centurion Atri is a level 4 Dark Dragon tuner effect monster, 1800 attack, 1400 defense. If this card you control would be used as synchro material, you can treat it as a non-tuner. You can only use each of the following effects of Atri once per turn. If this card is normal or special summoned, you have both an Emblema card and a Centurion card in your graveyard. You can draw one card. Also, you cannot special summon Centurion Atri for the rest of this turn. During the main phase, if this card is a continuous trap, you can special summon this card. So, one thing that's definitely worth noting, I think, is the condition under which you can't summon Atri, which is if you draw a card. I'm pretty sure the other ones, or at least Primera, that condition applies when you special summon her from, the spell trap zone. What makes Atri unique in that regard is that you can special summon her from the spell trap zone, sync her off for a synchro monster, and then later still special summon another copy. Again, I know of at least Primera, I'm pretty sure that's actually not true, so that is definitely noteworthy. I think also you can treat this card as a non-tuner is noteworthy, given that we're going to see a level 8 synchro monster here in a second, so that definitely matters for that, right? A lot of flexibility. This can be used to go into plays alongside Primera, alongside one of your level 8s, it can go into a 12, alongside Trudea, it can go into the 8 as well. Lots of flexibility in that regard, which is very, very nice. I also I think that being a dragon monster, like, I almost wonder if that matters, like, being able to link this off into Striker Dragon. I don't know if we live in a world where that does matter, but I'm sure there's some builds where it could. I think Centurion and Dragon Link, I've seen builds that are splashing like a Centurion engine into a Dragon Link deck. I'm pretty sure I've already seen that be a thing. So if that is the case, if I'm not misremembering, then this would definitely be a pretty big boon for that build in particular. So we have another main deck monster. Now this one is not in the Infinite Forbidden. I alluded to this towards the beginning of the video, but I don't think it's unreasonable to assume that follow-up support of the same archetype that's in the next set would be included together, right? Like, I struggle to see a world, we could live in this world, but I struggle to see a world where we get the Infinite Forbidden Centurion cards and not the Raging Abyss ones in the same pack. So I'm going to be talking about them together, even though this video does mostly focus on Infinite Forbidden. I do still think this is quite relevant. So Centurion Chimera is a level 4 Dark Pyro effect monster with 1200 attack, 1600 defense. When your opponent activates a monster effect as Chainlink 2 or higher, quick effect, you can make the activated effect become your opponent places one Centurion monster from their face-up field or graveyard in their spell trap zone as a continuous trap. Also, you cannot special summon Centurion Chimera for the rest of this turn. During the main phase, if this card is a continuous trap, you can special summon this card. You can only use each effect of Centurion Chimera once per turn. Maybe Chimeria? Because there's that extra E. But so, this card is interesting. It's basically an anti-hand trap card. Like, if you have this card in your hand and you're like comboing on turn 1, right? Like, let's say you open this alongside Primera, normal summon Primera, then they go to activate Effect Veiler or Ash Blossom. That's when you can chain Centurion Chimera, and then the oh no, that's only what's on the field. I'm sorry. I thought that was an effect you used from hand. I completely misinterpreted that. That's my fault. This needing to be on the field makes it far worse. I don't know why I thought this was also a hand trap. This card would go pretty hard if it was a hand trap. I think you would definitely play it. The first effect anyway, but needing to be on the field is a huge deal breaker. I was going to also add that this card doesn't advance your play, so maybe you don't play a full playset, even if you could use the first effect from hand. But yeah, no, the fact that it's on the field is definitely not... I completely misremembered that. My fault. I don't think this card is worth it, honestly. Doesn't advance your board state. Very niche, the fact that it needs to be on the field to then counter hand traps, so you need to, like, normal summon this, and then be able to go into like the field spell or Emblema Oath, which is not completely unreasonable, but I don't think it makes this card like main deck worthy as a 3 of, or honestly even as a 1 of. I imagine we probably just don't play this. Alright, Centurion Chimera Primus, I almost said plus. Light Spellcaster Synchro Tuner, level 8, 2600 attack and defense, so this is the level 8 synchro monster I was alluding to earlier. Generic requirements, just 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuners. Cannot be destroyed by battle unless it was special summoned from the extra deck. You can only use each of the following effects of Centurion Chimera Primus once per turn. If this card is synchro summoned, you can add 1 emblema card from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Then you can destroy 2 cards, 1 on each field. If a face-up Centurion card you control leaves the field by an opponent's card effect while this card is in your graveyard, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card. Alright, so, I think this card is fantastic. I think it's completely fantastic. I love that Emblema Oath is finally searchable. Emblema Oath is a amazing card, probably the best card in Centurion, honestly. Because it's not just a 1-card starter, it's also a fantastic extender. The destroy 2 cards, 1 on each field effect is also quite interesting. Now, obviously that would apply more to like going second, right? Also worth noting that the way this is worded, You can't pop it by its own effect and then immediately special summon it. This says if a face-up Centurion cards you control leaves the field by an opponent's card effect, for 1, it would be your own card effect. 2, while this card is in your graveyard. So Chimera Plus would have to already be in, or Primus, I keep saying plus, P and then ends in US anyway. This would have to already be in the graveyard at the time your Centurion card is destroyed. So it's not quite that good, but I think it is still very good. It definitely gives you options. I love that Centurion finally has a level 8. One of the biggest issues with certain hands or game states would be that you don't really have a great level 8 synchro to go into this archetype. I think most people are on like Chaos Archfiend to maybe get to summon Chaos Angel. That's such a reach. That is such a reach. This card actually does stuff that you care about in the archetype and is good. So I think it's definitely much better than something like Chaos Archfiend in the Centurion extra deck. It'll be a definitely nice bit of a power boost. There is another Emblema card. Emblema Salvation is a quick play spell that says banish one face-up Centurion monster card from your spell and trap zone, then target one card your opponent controls, banish it. If this set card in its owner's control is destroyed or banished by an opponent's activated effect, you can place 2 Centurion monsters with different names from your hand, deck, graveyard, and or banishment in your spell and trap zone as face-up continuous trap cards. You can only activate 1 Emblema Salvation per turn. This card, funnily enough, even though our last card that we just saw was an Emblema support card, I kind of think this would have been better if it was a Centurion card, because then you could search it. Then you could search it with Auxilia. But like, would that even be better than Phalanx? I mean, that's kind of the thing I'm leading to here, right? Is like, when you compare this card with Centurion Phalanx, it's like, yeah, Phalanx's banish isn't permanent, but it's until the next standby phase, which is almost always long enough. And you also don't have to banish your own face-up Centurion monster card from your spell trap zone. It's not even that likely that you'll have an extra one in your spell trap zone that you want to banish, right? Usually at the end of your turn 1 combo, it's Primera and Trudea, and you need those to combo off. So I kind of don't think this card is it. But I do think that, what were they called? Atri, as well as Primera Plus. Primus. I said it again. Atri and Primera Primus are definitely where it's at, I think, for the new Centurion cards. Now, there is one more archetype that I mentioned that I alluded to before. And that is going to be Momento. So I actually talked about this in yesterday's video as well, the Momento deck profile, that this deck, currently in Master Duel, without these new support cards, is like, it's a very rogue deck, right? But someone pointed this out in the comment section, and I completely agree, that after this next wave of support, Momento is like pretty consistently, even up until this point, like always one of the top 5 decks in the meta. Currently, right now, that's still true in the OCG in their latest format after Raziel, after Malice, after, Orcust and Blue Eyes and Primite support. This deck is still very, very good. So, I think these cards are definitely something that, I'm highly anticipating, and you probably should be too. Momentolan Sleepy. It's a Sleepy. It's a good name. Is a level 3 Earth Beast with 800 attack, 1000 defense. During the turn a monster in your position was destroyed by a card effect, quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can fusion summon 1 Memento fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can send 1 Memento card from your deck to the graveyard, except Sleepy. You can only use each effect once per turn. So, yeah, I mean, obviously the applications here are to use this to not only fusion summon, but also I think the third effect is definitely not bad. Memento, of course, destroys its own cards a fair bit, and also wants to mill its own cards a fair bit. I'm sure you could slot that into combo lines somewhere. I'm barely familiar with Memento lines right now, so I don't know exactly off the top of my head, but I think that this is obviously quite a good addition. So this card is another one from Rage of the Abyss. Momentolan Akih Heron is a level 5 water aqua effect monster with 1700 attack and 1400 defense. If this card is normal or special summon, you can activate this effect. This turn, level 9 or higher Memento monsters can attack directly. Excuse me. If this card is destroyed by card effect, you can target one of your other Memento cards that is banished or in your graveyard, add it to your hand. If a Memento monster in your hand or face-up field is destroyed by battle or card effect, while this card is in your graveyard, you can special summon this card. You can only use each effect once per turn. So, I imagine that first effect is going to lead to a lot of stolen games. Your 5k big beat stick being able to just attack directly. That could matter. That could very easily matter. I think what's probably going to matter more are the other two effects, though. The fact that if you've already set this up in the yard, it summons itself, and then when you pop this card, you get to add another one of your Memento cards back. This is like so... Like, what makes Memento so hard, like, the combo lines to visualize is that, like, all these different cards do, like, vaguely similar but different enough things that you're like, oh my god, wait, what card does what? And what order do I need to activate them again? You know? At least that's where I struggle with it. But the big one, the big new Memento card, is Momento Mictlan I'm not even going to try. Creation King. Level 9 Earth Illusion Fusion Effect Monster. Any 3 Memento monsters can be fused together to make this. You can banish this card from your graveyard, add 1 Momento Mictlan from your deck to your hand. That is the field spell, right? If I recall? Whenever it wants to load, there we go. Yeah, that is the field spell. So banish this card from your graveyard, add the field spell from deck to hand. You cannot activate the following effects of Creation King in the same chain. If this card is fusion summoned, you can send 3 Memento cards from your deck and or extra deck to the graveyard. Quick effect. You can target an equal number of Memento monsters you control and cards your opponent controls. Destroy them. You can only use each effect of Creation King once per turn. So the idea is, because this has 3k attack and then Combined Creation has 5k attack. So that's kind of cute. If you have both of them out and you do this guy's first effect, you can just attack directly for 8k. That's adorable. But I think more than being an adorable way to OTK, this card's actually really, really good for both effects, honestly. The Fusion Summon effect, needing to mill 3 of your Memento cards, is insane for this archetype. The Tatsu, the horse. The horse is like one of the card's best archetypes because it lets you mill 3 specific Memento monsters, the Gaddock, the Goblin, and the Mace. Yes, the Mace, from your deck to the graveyard. Getting to mill any 3 is massive. On top of that, the Disruption effect is also pretty huge. Now, in addition to negating monster effects, you can, as part of your end board, set up the ability to pop multiple cards from your opponent. It's huge. It's so huge. Like, also the fact that Combined Creation, when your opponent activates a card or effect, will summon a Memento monster, means that Creation King can always pop for at least 1 without having to give up itself or Combined Creation, if not up to 3. And that's like bare minimum, right? So that's pretty wild, honestly. And again, definitely something you're going to be wanting to watch out for. Yeah, so all in all, these are just a few of the newer cards and archetypes that I'm personally looking forward to. Of course, there's other stuff in Infinite Forbidden that I didn't cover, like, you know, the Millennium archetype. I think there's another one I didn't really touch on that much. Just a lot of, like, generic cards in general. But yeah, I am really in particular looking forward to Fiend Smith giving everything a nice power boost, as well as Centurion and Momento getting their own respective power boosts. But What do you think of these cards from Infinite Forbidden? Which ones do you think are going to come out in some of the next selection packs, and which ones are you looking forward to? As always, as ever, I would love to hear from you all in the comment section below. But I think for now, that's going to go ahead and do it. This is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out, and also hoping that you have a fantastic day. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Just want to give you a huge thanks for watching all the way to the very end of the video. Believe it or not, that is actually one of the best ways that you can support the channel, is by watching the videos in their entirety. But there are many ways in which you can support the channel if you are so interested. The names that you're seeing on screen here, I gotta give an extra special thanks to, because these are people who have chosen to either become a member on YouTube, which if you're interested you can do as well via the join button next to the subscribe button down there, or have signed up over on Patreon and become members there. Link to that is going to be in the description below. Without the support that is being offered by, again, all the people that you're seeing on screen right here, I would not be able to take the time to dedicate to uploading daily YouTube videos. So thank you so very much. But there are also other ways you can support as well. Again, link to the description below. If you like my deck tracker that you'll see in a lot of my videos, the Untapped Companion, you can download that for free, and if you use my affiliate link down there, then that also goes a long way towards supporting the channel. That's again free. So is subscribing here on YouTube. That's also free and a huge way to support. You can also check out Twitch, once again linked in the description below. Following and subscribing over there will not only support as well, but also give you notifications of when I go live if you want to catch some of the live streams. But really, no matter how you choose to support, it all adds up and it all definitely means the world. So thank you, each and every one of you. For now, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out. But more than that, I'm hoping that you have a fantastic day.